Hello Zenith women and welcome to the channel. The most dangerous kind of woman is the one who doesn't need you to fear her, but you'll wish you had. Sigma females are a breed apart, fiercely independent, impossible to manipulate, and utterly indifferent to the opinions of others. They don't shout to prove their power or seek to dominate a room. They simply exist as their own unshakable force. And here's the kicker. Research shows that confidence paired with emotional intelligence is the ultimate intimidation repellent. Trying to intimidate a Sigma female is like bringing a water pistol to a wildfire. It's not just ineffective, it's downright embarrassing. You'll only end up exposing your own insecurities while she quietly observes, probably filing your behavior under forgettable nonsense. So why does every attempt to rattle her fail so spectacularly? Let's dive into the reasons why messing with a Sigma female is a guaranteed exercise in futility, and why the aftermath will leave you wishing you hadn't even tried. Number 1. Keen observational skills. Turn the tables. Sigma females have a remarkable ability to see what others miss. When someone tries to intimidate them, they don't react emotionally or impulsively. Instead, they pause, watch, and dissect the situation like a chess player planning 10 moves ahead. They're not just looking at the surface behavior, they're analyzing body language, tone, choice of words, and even the smallest inconsistencies. This hyper-awareness allows them to strip away the bravado of the intimidator and uncover what's really going on. Is it insecurity? A need for control? A desperate attempt to mask vulnerability? A Sigma female can pinpoint these motives with unsettling accuracy, often before the intimidator even realizes they've been exposed. And that's the part that backfires spectacularly. While most people crumble under intimidation, Sigma females thrive on understanding their opponent's psyche. They don't need to retaliate loudly or make a dramatic scene. They've already won by identifying the weakness behind the act. What makes this so effective is their ability to remain composed. While the intimidator escalates their efforts, thinking they're gaining control, the Sigma female is silently gathering information and filing it away. By the time the person realizes they've overplayed their hand, the Sigma female has already neutralized the situation. Often her subtle confidence alone is enough to make the other person backtrack or question themselves. It's this unflinching observational skill that makes intimidation attempts against a Sigma female not just ineffective but humiliating. She doesn't just survive the encounter, she walks away with a deeper understanding of her opponent, while they're left wondering how she saw right through them. The power dynamic shifts entirely, and the intimidator becomes the one who feels small. Number 2. A history of being underestimated. Sigma females often operate outside the traditional molds of personality and behavior, which makes them easy to underestimate, at least at first glance. They don't loudly advertise their strengths or demand attention, and this quiet confidence often leads others to misjudge them as passive, indifferent, or even weak. But nothing could be further from the truth. Over time, a pattern emerges for many Sigma females. People make the mistake of assuming they can be easily outmaneuvered, only to be blindsided when their strength, intelligence, and resilience come into play. This history of being underestimated becomes a silent advantage. They've grown accustomed to being written off, and they've learned how to use it to their benefit. They let others underestimate them, often lulling opponents into a false sense of superiority before dismantling their strategies with precision. When faced with intimidation, Sigma females don't flinch because they've been in similar situations before, and likely thrived. The moment someone tries to belittle or overpower them, it triggers an almost automatic response, calculated calm. Instead of reacting emotionally, they assess the situation, formulate a plan, and respond in a way that disarms the intimidator without breaking a sweat. This ability stems from years of proving doubters wrong. Every underestimation has acted as fuel for their self-confidence and a chance to refine their skills. They've faced challenges, dismissed assumptions, and emerged stronger each time. For a Sigma female, being underestimated isn't an insult, it's an advantage. So, when someone tries to intimidate her, it's like handing her the very weapon she'll use to defeat them. By the end, the intimidator is left bewildered, wondering how they misjudged her so badly while she walks away unshaken and victorious. Number 3. Empathy as a weapon. Empathy is often misunderstood as a sign of vulnerability, but for a Sigma female, it's one of her greatest strengths. While most people see intimidation as a one-sided power play, she sees it for what it really is, a dynamic built on emotions, motives, and insecurities. Her heightened emotional intelligence allows her to navigate these dynamics effortlessly, turning what others perceive as a weakness into a strategic advantage. A Sigma female doesn't just hear words or see actions, she understands the underlying motivations behind them. When someone tries to intimidate her, she can sense the fear, insecurity, or need for control driving their behavior. This insight gives her the upper hand because she knows how to anticipate their moves. It's not just about reacting, it's about predicting their strategy before they even realize it themselves. What makes her use of empathy so powerful is how subtly she wields it. She doesn't need to call someone out or directly confront their flaws. Instead, she lets her awareness guide her actions. If someone lashes out to assert dominance, she might respond with calm acknowledgement of their frustration, diffusing the tension without giving up an inch of her own ground. If an intimidator tries to provoke her, she might redirect the energy entirely, leaving them disarmed and unsure of how to proceed. Her empathy also allows her to see past the facade. While others might feel threatened by aggression or manipulation, a Sigma female recognizes it as a sign of weakness. She knows that the loudest person in the room is often the most insecure, and this understanding keeps her grounded. In the end, her ability to empathize doesn't make her a target, it makes her untouchable. By understanding others so deeply, she ensures that no one can control or intimidate her. Instead, she quietly dismantles their attempts, leaving them questioning their own tactics. Number 4. They expose intimidators' insecurities. When someone tries to intimidate a Sigma female, they're walking into a trap they can't even see. Unlike others who might feel cornered or defensive, the Sigma female has a unique ability to turn the situation on its head. She doesn't need to raise her voice or engage in a power struggle. Her sharp insight and self-assured presence are enough to subtly expose the insecurities of the person trying to overpower her. Intimidation often stems from the intimidator's own fears and weaknesses, projected outward in an attempt to assert control. A Sigma female sees this immediately. She recognizes the cracks in their armor, the overcompensation, the need to dominate, the fear of being perceived as inadequate. By staying calm and refusing to play into their tactics, she creates a mirror that reflects these insecurities right back at them. Her response is never loud or theatrical, it's surgical. Through her questions, her silence, or even a simple glance, she forces the intimidator to confront the very vulnerabilities they were trying to hide. The more they push, the more they reveal about themselves, until it becomes painfully obvious to everyone around them, sometimes even to themselves. The most striking part is that she doesn't do this out of malice or spite, it's just who she is. Her unshakable confidence and emotional intelligence naturally highlight the contrast between her calm and their chaos. In trying to make her feel small, they inadvertently showcase their own fragility. By the end, the intimidator isn't just unsuccessful, they're exposed. What they intended as a show of strength turns into a spotlight on their weaknesses, and the Sigma female walks away unbothered, leaving them to wrestle with the uncomfortable truth of their own shortcomings. Number 5. Unpredictable responses. Keep intimidators guessing. One of the most disarming traits of a Sigma female is her unpredictability. She doesn't play by the rules most people expect, and this makes her an enigma in any confrontation. Intimidators thrive on patterns. They rely on predictable reactions to maintain control. But with a Sigma female, there's no blueprint to follow. Her responses don't just defy expectations. They leave her adversaries confused and off balance. When someone attempts to intimidate her, she might respond with silence, a sharp remark, or even unexpected humor. Sometimes she'll walk away entirely, making it clear that she won't waste her energy on pointless power plays. Other times, she'll confront the issue head-on with unwavering composure. The key is that no one ever knows what's coming next. This unpredictability creates a sense of unease for the intimidator, as they can't find a way to gain the upper hand. Her ability to act outside the norm stems from her independence and self-awareness. She doesn't feel pressured to conform to societal expectations about how to handle confrontation. She trusts her instincts and adapts her approach based on the situation, not on what others think she should do. This freedom gives her an edge, as she's not boxed in by predictable reactions like fear, anger, or submission. The most unsettling part for the intimidator is that her unpredictability makes it impossible to control her. Every move they make is met with something unexpected, rendering their tactics ineffective. Over time, they become the ones who feel uncertain and powerless, unsure of how to proceed. In the end, a Sigma female's unpredictable nature turns intimidation into an exercise in futility. She stays in control not by overpowering her adversaries, but by making it impossible for them to figure her out. Number 6. Unshakable sense of self. Sigma females possess an unshakable sense of self that makes them nearly impervious to intimidation. Unlike many people who look to others for validation or build their identity around relationships, societal roles, or external success, Sigma females draw their confidence from within. This internal grounding creates a kind of psychological armor that intimidation simply cannot penetrate. When someone tries to intimidate a Sigma female, they're usually banking on the idea that she can be made to feel inadequate or uncertain. But this strategy falls apart instantly. She knows her worth, and it's not tied to anyone else's opinions or approval. Whether in a professional setting, a social interaction, or a personal confrontation, she remains firmly rooted in her identity. Insults, threats, or manipulative tactics don't destabilize her because they don't touch the core of who she is. This self-assuredness can be deeply unsettling for intimidators who often rely on exploiting insecurities to gain the upper hand. A Sigma female's refusal to waver not only renders their efforts useless but can also make them feel exposed. They quickly realize they're dealing with someone who cannot be easily influenced or controlled, which often leaves them flustered and grasping for new strategies that inevitably fail. Her unshakable sense of self also means she doesn't feel the need to prove anything to anyone. She doesn't waste energy engaging in power struggles or reacting emotionally to intimidation attempts. Instead, she meets them with calm confidence, a quiet reminder that her value isn't up for negotiation. Ultimately, this deep self-awareness makes intimidation attempts not just ineffective, but irrelevant. A Sigma female knows who she is, and no amount of external pressure can make her question that. She doesn't just endure intimidation, she renders it powerless. Number 7. Strategic patience amplifies their power. Sigma females are masters of strategic patience, a trait that gives them a distinct edge in any confrontation. When faced with intimidation, they don't rush to react or let emotions dictate their response. Instead, they take a step back, assess the situation, and wait for the right moment to strike. Their ability to remain calm and composed, even under pressure, allows them to see the bigger picture, while their intimidator gets lost in the moment. Patience is not passivity. A Sigma female doesn't retreat or ignore what's happening, she observes. She takes mental notes of her intimidator's behavior, motives, and weaknesses. Every word, action, and attempt to assert control becomes data she can use. While the intimidator is busy trying to gain the upper hand, she's quietly building a strategy, one calculated move at a time. What sets her apart is her timing. Sigma females don't react for the sake of reacting. They wait until their response will have the maximum impact. It might be a sharp, well-placed comment that dismantles the intimidator's argument, or a decisive action that flips the power dynamic. When she finally acts, it's swift, precise, and often leaves her adversary stunned, wondering how she turned the situation around so effortlessly. This long-game approach often frustrates intimidators who expect immediate reactions or emotional outbursts. Instead, they're met with an unsettling calm, as if their efforts are insignificant. By the time the Sigma female chooses to engage, the intimidator has usually overplayed their hand, revealing their vulnerabilities and making it easy for her to turn the tables. Strategic patience isn't just a tool for the Sigma female, it's a weapon. It allows her to stay in control, turn the tide in her favor, and leave her intimidators powerless, often before they even realize what's happened. Number 8. Emotional independence makes fear tactics useless. Sigma females are profoundly self-reliant when it comes to their emotional stability. They don't look outward for validation, approval, or identity, which makes them immune to the fear tactics intimidators rely on to manipulate others. Where most people might falter under pressure or seek external reassurance to steady themselves, a Sigma female's confidence is rooted entirely within. Her sense of self-worth isn't tied to compliments, social standing, or relationships. Instead, it comes from knowing who she is and embracing that without apology. When someone tries to intimidate her, they're playing a losing game. Fear tactics only work on those who doubt their abilities or seek others' approval. A Sigma female neither craves acceptance nor fears rejection, which leaves intimidators with no leverage. Insults, threats, or manipulative comments that might send others spiraling are met with nothing but calm, collected resolve. What's most striking is how her emotional independence actually amplifies her power in these situations. The intimidator, expecting to elicit fear or uncertainty, is often caught off guard by her unshaken demeanor. Their efforts to destabilize her fall flat, and their inability to provoke a reaction leaves them confused and frustrated. Moreover, this internal strength allows her to see intimidation for what it really is, an attempt to project insecurity or assert artificial dominance. Because she's not emotionally dependent on anyone else, she recognizes these tactics without internalizing them. To her, it's not a personal attack, it's a sign of weakness on the part of the intimidator. Ultimately, a Sigma female's emotional independence makes intimidation useless, because she can't be unmoored by someone else's opinions or behavior. Her inner stability is untouchable, leaving her adversaries powerless in the face of her quiet confidence. Number 9. Mastery over non-reaction. One of the most powerful tools in a Sigma female's arsenal is her ability to master non-reaction. While many people feel compelled to respond immediately, whether out of fear, anger, or a need to defend themselves, a Sigma female knows that silence can be far more effective. Intimidators thrive on eliciting reactions. They want their target to flinch, overreact, or show vulnerability, but when a Sigma female refuses to engage, it completely dismantles their power. Her silence isn't passive, it's strategic. Instead of rushing to respond, she evaluates the situation, observing the intimidator's motives and weaknesses. This calm indifference often unsettles her adversaries, who are used to their tactics working on others. Without an emotional reaction to feed on, they're left floundering, unsure of how to proceed. It's like punching into thin air. Their efforts yield no impact, and their frustration only grows. Non-reaction also gives the Sigma female time to think. She doesn't waste energy on unnecessary arguments or retaliatory outbursts. Instead, she processes the situation from a place of clarity, ensuring that any response she does give is calculated and effective. Her ability to remain composed, even in high-pressure situations, often leaves intimidators feeling exposed. They begin to question their own behavior, realizing that their attempts to control or dominate have only revealed their own insecurities. What's most remarkable is how her non-reaction can shift the entire dynamic of a confrontation. By refusing to engage emotionally, she forces the other person to confront their own behavior without giving them the satisfaction of a reaction. In the end, her calmness speaks louder than any words could, proving that sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Number 10. Adaptability neutralizes power plays. Intimidation thrives on predictability. It relies on the idea that the target will react in a certain way, whether with fear, submission, or defiance. But Sigma females are anything but predictable. Their ability to adapt to any situation makes them impossible to control. They don't have a single, fixed response to confrontation. Instead, they assess the circumstances, weigh their options, and pivot in a way that keeps their intimidator guessing. This adaptability is rooted in their independence and self-awareness. Sigma females don't feel confined by societal norms or expectations. so they have the freedom to respond in ways others might not even consider. If someone tries to corner them with aggressive tactics, they might respond with calm logic or even humor, completely disarming the situation. If manipulation is at play, they'll see through it and adjust their approach to neutralize its effects. What makes their adaptability so effective is how it disrupts the intimidator's strategy. Most people rely on patterns of behavior to assert control, but a Sigma female's flexibility makes her an unpredictable opponent. The more an intimidator tries to tighten their grip, the more she shifts, rendering their efforts useless. It's like trying to catch smoke. No matter what they do, she's always one step ahead. This ability to pivot also shows her strength. Instead of being reactive or rigid, she's proactive and fluid. She doesn't get stuck in the moment or overwhelmed by pressure. She sees intimidation as just another obstacle to navigate. Her adaptability ensures that she not only survives, but thrives in challenging situations. In the end, her willingness to change course and think creatively dismantles power plays entirely. Intimidators are left scrambling to regain control while she calmly maneuvers around them, unshaken and undefeated. In the end, the very essence of a Sigma female lies in her ability to turn the tables on intimidation, leaving her adversaries bewildered and powerless. It's not through brute force, loud resistance, or frantic retaliation, but through an unyielding sense of self, emotional independence, and a mastery of strategic silence that she remains untouchable. She understands that intimidation isn't about strength, but about control, and she simply doesn't allow anyone to control her. Her unpredictability keeps her challengers on edge, her emotional self-sufficiency makes their fear tactics irrelevant, and her adaptability renders any power play useless. What makes the Sigma female extraordinary isn't her ability to survive in a world that constantly tries to categorize or dominate her. It's her ability to thrive by rejecting those very attempts. She remains a force that can't be boxed in, manipulated, or intimidated. While others may stumble, react impulsively, or let emotions govern their actions, the Sigma female stays calm, composed, and one step ahead. Her quiet power, rooted in self-awareness and emotional intelligence, is not only what keeps intimidation at bay, it's what makes her the true embodiment of strength in a world full of noise. To try and intimidate a Sigma female isn't just an exercise in futility, it's an invitation to expose one's own weaknesses. She doesn't simply walk away from confrontation unscathed, she walks away as the one who controls the outcome. And that's why, in the end, intimidation always backfires. Because no one can overpower someone who has already mastered the art of being truly powerful from within. If you've enjoyed diving into the incredible mindset and strength of the Sigma female, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more insightful content that will keep you empowered, inspired, and ready to take on anything life throws your way. By subscribing, you're not just joining a community, you're becoming part of a movement that celebrates self-awareness, confidence, and true inner power. So if you want more game-changing perspectives and thought-provoking ideas, be sure to subscribe, and let's continue this journey together. God bless you.